hello again to another Aga Calero Reacts, and today we'll be watching, together with Eric,
hello,
the history of frozen pizza.
Nice.
We have
frozen
it often.
Pizza. Yes.
Well, no, actually, not anymore.
No.
You making pizza now. Just using the pre-made dough.
Yeah, just throw our own toppings, cheese, store-bought sauce.
Sometimes we still have it from time to time.
It's economical.
Yeah.
You know, you can get 2 pizzas large for under $10.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
we're at what? Order a pizza for 30.
Yeah,
It's
we
like
make
meat,
it better though.
not that big.
Yeah. So Eric is a pizza master in our household. So
Pizza and burgers.
So it's made by Weird History Food. We already reacted to a few videos from them. They're usually very good, funny. We watched something about.
Yeah, I remember something. I don't remember what
something. There was definitely something. So, the history of the frozen pizza. There you go. And let's start.
Frozen pizza, one of America's greatest culinary inventions. Foodies will scoff, as they always do, but when you were young and mom was too exhausted to whip up an elaborate meal, a frozen pie thrown into the oven at 425 degrees for 15 minutes was the answer to everyone's prayers.
Abbondanza.
Today on Weird History Food, we're gonna talk about the history of frozen pizza. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel and let us know in the comments
Chicago?
below what other unconventional foods you'd like to know more about. Now, no need to preheat your oven. This video is coming out hot and ready. To truly understand the history of frozen pizza, it's important to have a tiny bit of basic knowledge on the pizza's origins.
Yeah.
Before there was a reason to freeze
it.
it. While
Healthy
hard
junk
flatbread
food, right?
doused with oil and scraps of whatever food was laying around the hut has been around since the Neolithic era, the modern pizza, the kind with various cheeses and tomatoes that you and I are familiar with, didn't appear until the early 18th century in Naples, Italy. These new, warm, fresh
I
cheese
guess
and tomato
tomatoes
pizzas
haven't
were
appeared in
an
Europe
instant
till, like,
hit amongst the poor
after Columbus
working-class Neapolitans who invented them.
Found
They combined
Americas.
the efficiency of sandwiches with the cheesy tomato-ness of Italian food. And since most people of Naples stayed within their city limits, pizza remained a regional delicacy for decades. But all that changed when Italians began immigrating to America in 1880. As the first wave of immigrants settled in the northeastern U.S., Gennaro Lombardi opened America's first pizzeria in 1905. But it didn't start out as a pizzeria. Lombardi's was originally a neighborhood grocery store. One day, one of Lombardi's employees, fellow Italian immigrant Antonio Totono Pero, suggested they try to sell fresh pizzas. Pero's 5-cent large pizzas became so popular so fast, Lombardi swapped his building's grocery store license for a restaurant license, and Lombardi's Groceries became Lombardi's Pizzeria. Soon, pizzerias started popping up all over the East Coast. Most of them were opened by former Lombardi's pizza chefs, including Pero, who all wanted their own slice of the proverbial pie. Of course, not every American got to experience the first wave of Italian pizza. Unless you lived in one of New York's 5 boroughs, chances are you were probably eating pickled vegetables, grains, and if you were lucky, gamey meat. Pizza was just a twinkle in most rural Americans' eyes. That is until 1928, when 2 General Motors engineers, Thomas Midgley Jr. and Charles Franklin Kettering, changed home refrigeration forever with their invention of Freon. This refrigerating gas allowed General Motors to introduce their new domestic Frigidaire refrigerator-freezer combo in 1940 to the home market. Before that, if you wanted to extend the life of perishables, you stored them in a big wooden chest, which was internally cooled with perpetually melting blocks of ice.
Oh, wow. 1940 is when the fridge came out?
Refrigerators beginning to fly off American showroom floors, mom-and-pop pizzerias got the jump on the home pizza game first, long before anyone thought of selling frozen pies. In June of 1950, the New York Times published an article about a Boston pizzeria selling pre-made, ready-to-cook pizzas. The pizzeria did everything except throw the pie into the oven. Then customers could bake the raw pie at home. Soon, New York pizzerias were selling pre-made, unbaked pizzas too. And with that, one of America's first food fads was born. But Joseph Pucci,
can you imagine how much waste was in the restaurants and places like that before the fridges were actually available in stores? They always had more food than people, like, but still, obviously they had some kind of way with that ice.
He called it the method for making frozen pizza. Once Bucci figured out how to freeze a pizza without the sauce seeping into the dough while still keeping its original taste and texture, other independent pizza makers took his lead, and small runs of regional frozen pizza brands started popping up all over local grocery stores. One of the very first pizzaiolos to master Bucci's frozen pizza technique was Jack DeLuca of East Cleveland, Ohio, which had a very large first-generation Italian-American community at the time. Oh, and since you're wondering, pizzaiolo is Italian for a professional pizza chef, and it's also a fun thing to shout at your Domino's delivery driver. After experimenting with different ways on how to preserve his pizzas for months at a time, DeLuca perfected how to freeze pizza. Suddenly, he was selling $20,000 worth of pizza every month in 1952. Converted for inflation, that would be over $223,000 a month in today's economy. That's a lot of dough. All that said, it was Rose and Jim Totino who took the frozen pizza game to new heights. Totino, that name probably hit your ears like
oh yeah, jeez, pizza rolls, man, those are good.
I love those.
You know them? For over 500 pizzas a day.
Yeah.
The husband and wife team built a large frozen pizza plant in 1962. While Bucci, DeLuca, and other independent frozen pizza manufacturers might be able to produce a couple hundred pies on a good day, Totino's could produce hundreds of pies an hour. To be honest, pizza really lends itself to factory production. 13 years later, after becoming America's top-selling frozen pizza manufacturer, Rose and Jim Totino sold their brand to the Pillsbury Company in 1975 for $22 million. With the acquisition of Totino's, Pillsbury became the instant leader of the frozen pizza industry.
Good money now,
the
too.
monopoly didn't last for long. Big players like the Schwan Food Company out of Minnesota bought the Kansas-based Tony's Frozen Pizza in 1970 and Red Baron's Frozen Pizza in 1975 to take a big slice out of the frozen pie market. Kraft also got in the game when they bought the Tombstone Pizza brand, which was just starting to make some serious headway in the independent market as well. By the way, what's with the frozen pizza brands having weirdly sinister names? Tombstone was the product of a pair of brothers, Pep and Ron Simic, who co-owned the Tombstone Bar in Medford, Wisconsin. When the Simics noticed how popular their in-house pizzas had become, they made frozen versions and shipped them around the country. By the time the Simic brothers sold their pizza to Kraft, it was the third most popular frozen pizza in the country. All three brands are still spinning pizzas today, with Red Baron hanging on as one of America's top-selling brands.
They're expensive though.
I'll have to try it next time.
Yeah.
Instead,
It was around this time in the early 70s when frozen pizza got caught up in bureaucratic red tape and shady strong-arm politics, which almost crippled the market. Alarmed at the increased use of cheaper imitation cheese in frozen pizzas, the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association tried to force the United States Department of Agriculture, you know them as the USDA, to set regulations on how much real cheese had to be on a frozen pizza. The correct answer is all of it, right? All of it should be real cheese. Actually, no. To keep costs down, frozen pizza manufacturers would use less cheese. So it was in the U.S. government's interest to force laws that insisted that every frozen pizza had to consist of 12% real cheese.
12% of real cheese, that's all?
12%? That's it. Still tastes pretty good. This mainly happened because America's annual dairy surplus was beginning to stockpile and go bad, and the aforementioned USDA was already spending nearly $3 billion a year to buy excess cheese from local farmers. In short, the American cheese industry wanted a slice of the frozen pizza industry's share of the booming wealth. Those cheesy, delicious bastards. When American consumers realized their frozen pizzas tasted different and began to rise in price, the USDA immediately received 5,600 letters from angry customers. The consensus of the letters was that American frozen pizza lovers did not want their pizzas regulated by the government, with rising costs being their highest concern. After similar strong-arm tactics were implemented by the National Milk Producers Federation in the early 80s, the USDA's enforced cheese tactics eventually faded away, ensuring that frozen pizza manufacturers could keep the cheese out of their pies and their prices low. In addition to being besieged by the USDA's non-regulated cheese distribution fiasco, the frozen pizza market of the 60s and 70s had grown stagnant. Every brand featured a flat and round slab of dough with tomato sauce, cheese, and basic toppings like pepperoni, sausage, and standard veggies. And while boring pizza has the advantage of still being pizza, variety is the spicy meatball of life. It wouldn't be until the 80s that the frozen pizza market would see radical
French
changes,
bread pizzas?
thanks to Stouffer's
good
Pizza,
stuff.
an independent frozen pizza manufacturer out of Ohio.
You know everything
Known
about your
mostly for
pizzas,
its
huh?
frozen lasagna,
Well, they sell it at
cheese,
Walmart.
meatloaf, and ravioli, Stouffer's popularized the oh-so-delicious French bread pizza at the start of the 1980s.
It looks like pollo zapikanka.
It wouldn't be so good.
According to
It's
legend,
just like bread.
Stouffer's
You have
new
like
pizza was
Oh, yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah.
you know? It's very
stolen
similar, isn't it?
after one
Yeah.
of their hungry employees stumbled out of a late-night dance club and found Bob Petrolos selling his unique French bread pizza out of a nearby food truck. That Stouffer's employee took Petrolos's French bread crust idea back to the office, and suddenly, Stouffer's was in the frozen pizza business. Honestly, one would expect most pizza innovations come on the back end of a desperate hangover. Several years later, in 1983, Paul Marriage and his brother David invented Hot Pockets, a twist on the pizza with roots tied to the calzone, another dish that originated in Naples about 100 years after they invented the modern pizza. The new trick with Hot Pockets was that the Marriage brothers were able to design a wraparound packaging sleeve along with a
Shadow.
special dough formula that created a flaky crust when thrown into
Just
a
say that,
microwave.
please.
Bagel Bites came onto the frozen pizza scene a couple of years after Hot Pockets in 1985. Florida businessmen Bob Mosier and Stan Garzinski invested $20,000 into the simple idea of mini bagels topped with pizza sauce, cheese, and bits of pepperoni and sausage. A simple yet brilliant idea, like windshield wipers or insulin. Thanks to a catchy jingle that dared parents to feed their children pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
Pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza at supper time. When pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime.
plus the fact that the brand convinced popular pro skateboarder Tony Hawk to be the official Bagel Bites spokesperson, Mosier and Garzinski's $20,000 gamble paid off, making their invention the top-selling frozen pizza product among kids under 16. Of course, Hot Pockets and the Bagel Bites could not exist without Pillsbury's Susceptor, an invention that wasn't approved until 1980, years before all of those novelty microwavable snacks made the scene. Pillsbury's Susceptors are those glossy gray plastic pieces of lightweight cardboard that go beneath your microwavable pizza and burn the out of your fingers every single time. Not only did they make Hot Pockets and Bagel Bites possible, but also reduced the cooking time for a frozen pizza from a quarter of an hour to a few minutes. Frozen pizza would never be the same again.
Hot Pockets are good.
It's a nice looking pizza.
French bread pizza, Hot Pockets, and Bagel Bites were all whimsical riffs on frozen pizza. And there's no question that these kid-oriented snacks carried the frozen pie industry throughout the touch-and-go 80s. However, the most important innovation to rock the industry happened in 1995. This was the year that Kraft Foods reinvented the frozen pizza game forever with their new line of DiGiorno frozen pizza, which featured a patented rising crust. Don't bother looking for the DiGiorno family, though. The Kraft marketing department baked up the Italian-sounding surname to convince their pizza-eating customers the brand had Italian roots. And if the authentic-sounding
here too?
DiGiorno name didn't convince
Are they available
Americans
here
to
too,
give this
the
new pizza a
DiGiorno?
try,
I don't think so.
early commercials like
How
this
do I
one
know that
certainly
name
did.
then?
Ads featuring
There's a lot of
tantalizing visions of
commercials.
plump, rising
It's not
golden
delivery,
brown
it's
crust had
DiGiorno.
everyone convinced that
It's not
DiGiorno's
delivery,
pizza
it's
was as
DiGiorno.
good, if
Oh,
not
okay.
better than, the pie delivered by your local pizzeria. And in some cases, it actually was. Both because DiGiorno's is pretty good and some delivery is pretty bad. Along with additives such
Here,
as
every
gums,
delivery's pretty
protein
bad.
film formers, and surfactants, all of which help dough retain its structure during freezing and thawing, DiGiorno's innovative crust included oils, yeast, and baking soda to strengthen the pizza's foundation, helping it stay
The thing about frozen
hydrated
pizzas,
rather
they're
than drying out.
dry.
And thanks to the combination of
Compared
savvy
to
marketing
soft
and a
bread.
unique rising crust, DiGiorno not only became the top-selling frozen pizza brand in the world within a year, but its sales still account for nearly half of all frozen pizzas sold today. So, what's in
This
store
pizza I
for
would
the
buy because
future
the
of
thick
frozen
dough.
pizza?
I like it.
It's hard
Yeah.
to predict. Currently, there's a big push to make frozen pizza healthy with things like
Oprah pizza?
cauliflower crust, which seems
Oprah
a bit
pizza?
counterintuitive to the entire
Sorry?
ethos of a frozen
Oprah Winfrey pizza?
Listen, some things just weren't meant
Why
to
not?
be. Frogs were not meant to fly, and pizza is never supposed to feel like the responsible meal choice. But until some brilliant mind at a frozen food manufacturer can recreate the pizza
heck is that? Black
rehydration
and Decker
scene in
what?
Back to the Future 2
It's
for the
Back to the
consumer
Future 2.
market, we're
Oh,
probably
is it?
going
Yeah.
to be waiting
Oh!
a while for the next
How is
frozen
it that much?
pizza revolution.
How many
So
did
what
you
do
see that you
think?
actually recognize
What's
that?
your favorite frozen pizza?
Pizzas?
No,
Let
how
us
many
know in
times did you see
comments
the-
below, and while you're at
Back
it,
to the Future
check
2?
out some
Yeah.
of these other videos
Quite a
from
few times, but it's a good movie.
I know, I've seen it too, but I wouldn't like see that. I thought that was actual some kind of Black and Decker.
I never noticed a Black
Kitchen thing.
Decker symbol on it because that picture was actually zoomed in.
Oh, okay.
It's not that close in the movie.
Oh, fair enough then. Fair enough. Well, so I noticed the Black and Decker, and you noticed the freaking
Pizza.
Back to the Future. Yeah. What do you think about the history of frozen pizza
It's interesting. We should have that in class.
in class?
It's like school. The history of frozen pizza.
You should have the history of food, maybe.
Can't cover everything. You know, frozen pizza, chimichangas.
I should look for that then.
Shit.
History of chimichangas.
Chimichangas are amazing.
I don't know. Did you have them?
Yes, I made them for you.
Okay.
Chicken,
So were they?
chicken chimichangas. They're a fried tortilla.
Oh yeah, they were nice.
Yes.
Yeah, they were nice.
Guacamole, sour cream.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much for watching. And
What is your best frozen pizza?
yeah, he's
Or
back
favorite?
on
What is your
asking
favorite frozen pizza?
questions. Well, I used to live on Dr. Edgar for a really long time. It was like €2 a pizza and literally 5 times a week. Well,
Yeah.
obviously when I was living on my own and I didn't want to cook, so it's just like I'm like heck, now I'm not cooking anymore for myself. It's just no point in doing that. So it's just waste of time and stuff like that. So basically, I just got like the offers, the Dr. Edgar pizzas, and I like them as well because they get really nice and crusty. So basically, we're getting like how many I needed and had in pizza because it was enough for me.
Yeah.
One of them. So
I just remember as a kid, you get like a stack of 6 or 9 mini frozen pizzas, like in a block like that.
mhm.
You just peel one off, throw it in, eat it. Until I got food poisoning one day, and I stopped eating those.
Okay.
That's what I remember about frozen pizza.
Yeah, food poisoning from
Food
it.
poisoning.
I don't think I ever did it. But still.
I got food
I
poisoning
like
a
them
couple times
crispy, so
in my
they're
life.
always longer in the oven.
Yeah, I like them soft.
Yeah, you see, there you go. Explanation for your food poisoning.
Cook them longer.
Yeah, I cook them longer.
Yeah.
As what they say, not required, but recommended times.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Have
Yeah.
something else to add?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.
Actually-
I'll see Eric.
Yes, I'm sorry, one more thing that if you are watching this video, not from the United States or actually from anywhere, go ahead and list your favorite frozen pizza. I would like to know, and if I come across it, I'd like to try them.
A
So-
brand?
Brands, yes.
Brands,
frozen,
okay.
frozen pizza. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you
That's
for watching.
a good idea. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you
Bye.
next week. Bye.